Alright, so this video is about the top 5 mid-card wrestlers from the Ruthless aggression era that I felt like could be main event stars in this era. But before we get to that, I have to fucking address this. I have to get this out the way, because I'm really getting sick and tired of people telling me how to run my own channel. I'm really getting sick and tired of people telling me how I should do my videos. In terms of, I take a long time to get to the point, this or that. I'm like, dude, I'm popular as fuck right now, bruh. You don't have a channel. My channel was blowing up in spite of wrestling being dead, bitch. I dare you to do the numbers that I'm doing. I dare you. No, let's call it the hashtag Walt Clyde Challenge. If you think you can do a better job than me on running a goddamn wrestling channel, how about you start your own channel? You know, there's this guy on YouTube that I'm a fan of. His name is Tommy fucking Sotomayor. That's what his name is. He doesn't do wrestling videos, so I don't care if I say his name. He always tells people, look, if you don't like how I run my channel, how about you start your own fucking channel? That's all I'm saying. If you think my video style is not good, look, bitch, start your own channel, man. I challenge you. My channel has gotten 1 million views within the last 4 months. I repeat, start your own channel and see if your ass can do a better job than me. Everything I say, I trigger people. Everything I say, I trigger you fucking marks. You know why? Because you're fucking pathetic. You easily get triggered by every little thing I say because you are a fucking virgin. You have no life. Every tiny thing I say about AEW, you go and cry in your pillow and you jerk off. But you cry tears in your pillow because I'm rent-free in your goddamn head. Why? It's like you are pathetic. But I love the hate. The more hatred I get, the more popular I get. The more hatred I get, the more I got people saying, why are you on my timeline? I'm not following you because, bitch, I'm popular and YouTube is telling you that I'm popular. My life is better than yours and you know it. I'm better at life than you are. How about that? How mentally slow can you be when you tell a other YouTuber, hey, why is this video in my recommendations? Because this is YouTube, you idiot. How do you discover other channels? Because YouTube recommends you their videos so you can subscribe to them. That's how YouTube works. YouTube pushes popular YouTubers like me down your throat. Because my channel is popping in the wrestling world. What part of that don't you understand? I got 1 million views on this channel in 4 months. That's why I'm popular and you ain't, bitch. Fuck. Listen, everybody knows who's the best heel when it comes to wrestling YouTube, and that's me. You know why? Everything I say pisses you the fuck off, don't it? Every little word I say, every post, every YouTube short, every video, every community post, I piss you the fuck off because you are a fucking loser. You take wrestling that serious where you constantly harass my page all the time because my life is way better than yours. I'm better than you and you don't know why. You don't know why I'm so over right now. You don't know why I'm so fucking popular, why I have strong following. I earned it because I'm fucking charismatic as fuck. I got charisma, you don't. I got personality that you wish you had. That's why your channel is dead. You will never be on my level when it comes to this. When it comes from YouTube, man. Every week my channel is growing, and that's pissing you marks off. Well, keep crying, cause I ain't going nowhere. This channel will keep on growing every week. Just accept the fact I'm one of the most popular guys when it comes to this wrestling YouTube shit, bro. I'm the best heel right now. Everything I say, you get mad and pissed off because you are a mark. Now, the first guy on this list is Shawn O'Hare. Man, I really love Shawn O'Hare, man. I rarely talk about him because it's hard for me that he's dead. Really. I'm still sad that he died. He was one of my favorite wrestlers who had the most potential, that never really realized it. I was watching Shawn O'Hare back when he was in the dying days of WCW. He was with Mark Jindrak. And out of those two, I felt like he had the most upside. He had the most charisma. He had the most potential to be a star. So he goes to the WWF, and man, he had so much upside and potential, especially when he switched to that gimmick he had, the Devil's Advocate gimmick. That was a great gimmick, man. That gimmick was ahead of its time. To me, I felt like his last run in the WWF, his character was similar to Joe Gacy. Joe Gacy and a mixture of Damian Priest. He was like a hybrid of those two when it came to his gimmick. But he was way better than both of them, though. Just everything about his look. He had the look. He had charisma. He had the promos. He had the great vignettes. He had the great backstage skits. And most importantly, he had size. He had $1 million look. But with all that he had, he was kind of overshadowed because he was in a tough ass era, which was the Ruthless Aggression era. That was a tough ass era. And here's why. Half the roster looked like him in terms of having a great look. He was like, what, 6'6"? What, about 280? He was a big, tall, jacked up dude. But there was tons of guys on that roster that were big, tall, jacked up dudes. What's his name? Fucking Luther Reigns, fucking Nathan Jones, tons of other buff dudes, Heidenreicher, whatever his name is, fucking Snitsky. Tons of tall, big dudes who had good looks, who were also in that mid-card. So it was hard for him to stand out, especially when there was Lashley, Chris Masters, you had Batista, Johnson, all these dudes who had great looks. So it kind of made him not stand out. It made him kind of a dime a dozen. That's how tough the Ruthless Aggression era was. It was hard for him to crack the main events because there was still Kurt Angle, Brock, The Undertaker, Eddie, fucking JBL. See, it was that deep with so much talent. He never really stood out. But if he was in this era, look at fucking Damian Priest. You know what I'm saying? Look at Damian Priest. I'm trying to wonder, maybe Vince is pushing him because he kind of reminds him of Shawn O'Hare, maybe, because they are kind of similar. They are very similar when it comes to the whole character. When it comes to them being kind of mysterious, they're very similar. So you see how good Priest is doing. Just imagine a prime young Shawn O'Hare. Look, if Shawn O'Hare was on a main roster in this era, like, okay, I think Vince will probably give him maybe the IC title for like 5 months. Then I think Vince will eventually push him to the fucking main events. Because a guy who has that kind of look, Vince will not make him a goddamn mid-carder in this era. Hell no. He will be a fucking main eventer. I guarantee it. If Shawn O'Hare was alive and he was young, back in his prime, he will be a top guy. He would face Reigns, Brock, Owens, Seth Rollins. Vince will push his ass based on how he looks and based on how weak the damn roster is. I mean, look at Sheamus. If Vince pushed Sheamus, look, man, the only reason Vince pushed Sheamus because he was in a weak era. That's why Vince pushed him. He was in a weak ass era, and there was not a lot of guys who had the look of Sheamus. That's why Vince pushed him back like 10 years ago. That's why. But that's a prime example. If Shawn O'Hare was in this era, in this weak ass era, he would be a top guy. Especially he had that catchphrase. His catchphrase was, "Hey, I'm not telling you anything that you don't already know." I mean, that could have gotten over. That could have gotten over in this era. So he is my pick of a guy that, if he was in this era, he would be a top guy. Dude, look at his ass. He was swole, jacked, good look. He could talk. See, that's an example of he was in a tough ass era, man. You couldn't crack the bit of Vince in that era. It was hard as fuck. So the next guy on my list is Mr. Kennedy. I was a huge fan of Mr. Kennedy because, of course, he had tons of charisma. That dude can talk his ass off. I loved his gimmick. But the one thing I'm trying to figure out, why the hell do people compare him to Stone Cold Steve Austin? I'm like, huh? I never saw it. I never saw any Stone Cold comparisons when I first seen Mr. Kennedy. I don't know what people are saying that I ain't seeing. I see no comparisons to Stone Cold Steve Austin. I'm like, what? What are you seeing that I ain't seeing? But he was still talented. Kennedy was still talented. Look, during his first year, man, he had that it factor. He had the it factor. He had a good look. He could talk. He had that microphone gimmick where it's like, okay, if your gimmick is you holding a damn microphone and talking, that means you a damn star then. He had stage presence. He could also work in a ring. But the reason his push kind of slowed down during his prime years was, of course, he always got hurt, right? He always got hurt, and it was Orton who actually slowed down his push. Because I heard that he actually dropped Orton on his head during a match, and Orton got all pissed off and kind of buried it backstage. But still, I'm talking about the whole package of Mr. Kennedy. He was getting pushed. He was getting pushed. I mean, he was what? Former Money in the Bank winner? Like, he was a star. They were trying to push him. It's like during his first year, I'm like, you know what? This guy is going to be a world champion. This guy is the future of this company. That's how much potential that guy had. He had a Hall of Fame upside. Like, I'm shocked he didn't go on to have a Hall of Fame career, man. I'm shocked, man. That's how much of a star he was. Like for example, I always compare Adam Cole to Mr. Kennedy, but here's the thing. I feel like Adam Cole, he can be the next Mr. Kennedy if he hit the goddamn gym. That's the only difference between Mr. Kennedy and Adam Cole. He actually hit the fucking gym. Adam Cole don't. Look, man, I feel like Cole, he could be a star, but it's like, dude, hit the damn gym, man. Stop playing video games so much. Hit the fucking gym like Mr. Kennedy. Look, man, he was jacked. Mr. Kennedy was a jacked dude. He had a good look on him. He had so much potential. And I feel like that could be Adam Cole. Look, if Adam Cole had the body of a Mr. Kennedy, he would still be in the WWE. They would have never said, hey, how about you be a manager? You kidding me? They would have never said that. He would still be there if his ass hit the fucking gym. Like, that's the only guy I compare Adam Cole to is Mr. Kennedy. He's the tiny, small version of Mr. Kennedy. Only thing that's missing is that's all you gotta do. Adam Cole hit the fucking gym. But if Ken was back in his prime today, man, he would be maybe a 4-time world champion. He would be a multiple-time world champion. There's no way in hell Vince wouldn't push his ass to the fucking moon. Come on, man. Seth Rollins versus Mr. Kennedy. Kennedy versus Reigns. Kennedy versus Sheamus. I mean, he has a lot of gold matches. If he was back in his prime today, there's no way in hell Mr. Kennedy would be in that mid-card. He would be a main eventer. He would be main eventing WrestleManias. But I'm gonna say it again, he was in a tough ass era that had shitloads of talent. Especially, dude, he had to overcome a prime, immature Randy Orton. Dude, nobody was overcoming a prime, immature Randy Orton. Ask Kofi. Nobody was overcoming him. Come on. But the point is, man, Mr. Kennedy, he was... look, back in his prime, it was him, it was Cena, Orton, Edge, CM Punk, and Lashley. I feel like those were the pillars back then. He was a part of that. I don't know what happened, man. I blame Orton. Orton ruined his push. Man, but the fucking point. It's like, dude, how come he has to return back to the WWE in some kind of capacity? It's like, how come he's never showed up at the goddamn Royal Rumble as a damn surprise guest or something? I don't get it. He has never returned to the Royal Rumble at all, not as a cameo. I don't get it, man. But he is another guy that I feel like, yeah, if he was in his prime today, he'll be a main eventer. All right, so the next guy is Chris Masters. You see, Chris Masters was a victim of being a buff guy in the wrong era. It's like, look, there's a reason why there wasn't a lot of like world title changes back during the Ruthless Aggression era in terms of like new guys like a Carlito or a Chris Masters or Shawn O'Hare. It was always the same faces being world champions. It was Triple H or John Cena or somebody else. Here's what I mean about Triple H. I felt like he was one of the main reasons why Chris Masters didn't become an world champion. Because a lot of those world title changes during that era, Triple H had a part of in terms of his backstage politics. Let's just be honest. There's a reason why Paul Heyman said to JBL, the only reason you're a world champion is because Triple H did not want to work on Tuesdays. So, where was Chris Masters at for his whole career, mate? Really? He was on Raw. That was Triple H's show, right? Triple H had, come on, man, he was kind of a jealous guy when it came to guys like Chris Masters. And let's just be honest. What made Chris Masters actually stand out? I mean, Raw had Lashley, Batista. He had all these buff dudes there, so he didn't really stand out all that much, even though he should have. They felt like, okay, we got Batista, we got all these buff guys. Why should we push Chris Masters over them? It's like, he's buff, yeah, but there's some guys that are buff too on his roster. It's like, look, man, Triple H, he had a high influence on who was gonna be a world champion and who was not. He had a huge, high influence when it came to that. And I felt like Chris Masters was a victim of that. I don't think Triple H was a fan of Chris Masters. Because how come he was never really a top guy? With that look, at that age, how come Triple H was always on top, but Chris Masters was steadily in the damn mid-card with that kind of look? Come on, man, that's politics, man. That's politics. It's like there's no reason why we never got a long feud with John Cena and Chris Masters. It's like, yeah, John Cena, he had a long feud with Edge, right? How come that couldn't be fucking Chris Masters? Like, Chris Masters, he was so similar to Lex Luger. He was very similar to a young Lex Luger. There's no reason why that guy could have been a top guy or a damn world champion in that era, but I felt like he was kind of held down based on his young age and his look. I felt like he was held down by jealousy. I mean, there's no excuse why that guy couldn't be a world champion in that goddamn era. That's no excuse. I felt like they literally dropped the ball on Chris Masters. They're like, wow. With that look, he had charisma. He had a great gimmick. The damn Master Lock challenge, that was great shit. The crowd hated him. Like, dude, like there was so much gold there. So much gold. I'm like, he should have been like a 5-time IC champion or something. See, that's how tough the Ruthless Aggression era was, people. Chris Masters was a low mid-card guy. He was an afterthought in that era with that look. Now, just imagine if you put him in this era, this weak-ass era. Can you imagine him on Raw or SmackDown, the young Chris Masters? This is all hypothetical. Let's say Masters never wrestled during the Ruthless Aggression era. Let's say he fast forward to this era. He will be a top 5 guy in the company. It will be Reigns, McIntyre, Chris Masters third. He will be top 3. Like, there's no way in hell Vince wouldn't push his ass with that look, because there's nobody currently on this roster who has a body of a Chris Masters besides Lashley. Nobody else. So why would Vince bury him? Why would Vince not want to book him as a top guy in this weak ass era where they are desperate for stars? It's like, man, there were so many regrets during that era, man. Because look at this weak ass era. There were so many talented guys during the Ruthless Aggression era that were buried or were lifelong mid-card guys based on how deep the main event scene was back then. I feel like they got punished because now look at this weak ass era we are living in right now. You saying Chris Masters couldn't be a top guy in this era? There's nobody on SmackDown besides Reigns. Can you imagine Chris Masters on SmackDown currently? Yes, they would have no choice but to push him. No choice whatsoever. He will go down as the most wasted talent ever in WWE history. Facts to me. There's no excuse that he was never a multiple-time mid-card champion or a one-time world champion. At that age, his look, he was a definition of a blue chip guy, and they did nothing with him, which is weird. That's how deep the era was. But now, the last guy on this list is Carlito. If he was in his prime today, on the main roster on Raw or SmackDown, he would be a top guy. He would be a main event guy. He would probably be the face of Raw. It wouldn't be. It would not be Seth Rollins. It would have been Carlito. Because let's be honest here, Carlito is way better than Seth Rollins, right? Way better. So just imagine a prime Carlito in this era. Yes, he will be a top guy. Just look, once again, Carlito was in a wrong era at the wrong time, man. He was in the Super Edge, the Super Brock, the Super Cena era, where he was labeled a nothing more than an IC champion. They never saw him as a main event guy, even though they should have. But when, look, they had higher priorities like Edge, Lashley, Cena, guys like that. guys like Carlito got punished. Even though he was very, very talented, he got punished. He was seen as a mid-card guy because the era was just too deep. But in this weak-ass era, dude, he would be headlining shows every week. The shows would be built around him. It's like, that would have been a great feud. Big E versus Carlito. It's like there's tons of feuds that Carlito would have been good in because Carlito can work too. Carlito, he had work rate. He had a good look, great theme song, could talk, great gimmick. He would have been very, very marketable. It's like, I felt like they really, really dropped the ball on him. But fast forward to this era, he would be a top guy in this era. Like, obviously. Come on, man. He would be above Sami Zayn, Shinsuke, maybe AJ Styles. I think he would be above AJ. That's how good Carlito was. Carlito, he was a missed talent, man. They really miscast him. I feel like they did him wrong. He should have been a main eventer. Him and Cena, they should have had a long feud, man. I don't know why they paired up Edge and Cena. See, look, I'm sorry, man. Back then, Edge had a strong Roman Reigns kind of push back then. I'm sorry. Vince had some kind of weird infatuation over Edge. Edge was everywhere, man. I'm like, why didn't you push Carlito like that? Or Chris Masters? Look, I like Edge, but let's be honest, man. Edge was really over pushed back then. He was overly pushed. There was like a million matches. There was like tons of fucking matches with him and Cena. Too many. It's like, why couldn't that be Carlito? But the point is, if he was in this weak ass era, he would be a top guy. No questions about it. He would be a fan favorite as a heel or face, but they would eventually transition him to be a top guy. Look, I ain't saying he would be a multiple time world champion, but look, he would be maybe a one-time world champion. He would be one of the 4 main event guys on this roster if he was still in his prime today. If Carlito, if he had a do-over, he would be a top guy in this weak ass era. And the last guy I almost actually forgot about is Maven. Now, when it comes to Maven, man, I feel like Maven, of course, once again, he was in the wrong era. But they failed him because they brought him up too early. The only reason they called him to the main roster so early because they wanted to get that tough enough payoff. But he wasn't ready for the main roster. See, I wish there was a fucking NXT back then. See, the reason I feel like Maven would be a main eventer in this era because they would put him in NXT. They would have gave him a gimmick, a character, better mic skills. Look, he had tons of upside, just they mishandled him. It's like there was no veterans to actually teach him the ropes. It's like they just let him just be plain old Maven, but he had tons of potential, tons of size. He had a great look. He would be perfect for NXT 2.0. That's the point I'm trying to make. If he was in this era, they will put him in fucking NXT and they will give him a gimmick and a character. Just like Carmelo Hayes. Carmelo Hayes would be Maven. I'm saying Maven will be Carmelo Hayes. That's who he is. That would have been Maven. See what I'm saying? See, Maven had tons of potential. It's just back then, they were very careless when it came to rookies back then. That's the problem with Maven back then. They didn't really give 2 shits about him. Like, dude, he should have been in OVW for at least 2 years. See what I'm saying? That's where I'm getting at. If he was in this generation's NXT, he would be a top guy on that show. Then eventually they will put him on the main roster. That's what I mean. So Maven, look, he will be a top guy in this era because they will be patient with him. They wouldn't rush him to the main roster. Like, obviously, hell no. Dude, Maven will be a top guy today, man. Put him with Bruce and Vince in that new NXT 2.0. Come on, man. He would be a top guy. He would be where fucking Braun Becker is. He would be Carmelo Hayes. So he's the last guy on this list where it's like, okay, if he was in his prime today, he would be a top guy in the WWE. That's it, man. I'm done.